This is Baba Kobi recording a video about a visit to Nicosia in Cyprus. Nicosia, the city divided into between two countries, the Greek side and the Turkish side. Nicosia is an amazing city. So this day we had a tour of Cyprus. We took off from England and went to Nicosia. After a long drive from Paphos, the airport, into Nicosia, we went on and eventually had a rest in our room, a nice, pleasant hotel room where we had breakfast in the next morning and planned our trip to explore the city. And the border was not so far from the hotel that we walked over. Every day we walked to the border, and when shopping in the center of the city, we always ended up at the border. And we could see the border that we were meant to cross to see our son on the other side of the city, which is called Lefkosa. One side is Nicosia and the other side is Lefkosa. So we had to plan our next journey into Lefkosia the next day. Of course, we had the visas ready, and I was excited to see my son. So early one morning, we actually went over to Lefkosia and crossed over the border without any eventuality. It was quite an interesting trip. We toured a lot of Lefkosia and saw amazing places. And this is where I got to the nearest point with the Mediterranean Sea. I actually was splashed with water from the Mediterranean Sea for the first time in my life. This is the first time I had been to this almost Middle East Sea. It was amazing. The views were so fantastic and pleasant to see, and there was an old castle just by the harbor where we eventually went into a museum within and enjoyed the arts from the local ancient people. The building was so amazing. The entrance looked so old, but the inside was so surprising. And along the coast outside the castle is a stream of houses, a row of upstairs houses with boats overlooking the sea, and at the end you only see the sea, blue water throughout. Beautiful views from almost every angle. Wherever you positioned yourself, you could see the beautiful view of the sea and the boats surrounding. And I had a few shots next to the sea where I wanted to view myself behind the sea or in front of the sea, whatever you might call it. But there were more wonders when we went into the museum within the castle. There were so many different arts that we were surprised existed. It was a surprising and pleasant tour. My son was the guide for the tour because he had been there for almost 2 years now, and he really showed us that this area, although different from the Greek side, it also had its own life, and the people there were quite pleasant, although the language barrier was not a problem. So it was quite a trip, And then after we had toured, we enjoyed a luscious meal of fresh fish. And the way they did it, I really enjoyed the fish. I don't know how they may do it, but when I had that meal, I'll never forget it. And I'll never forget that meal. However, the next day we still had our breakfast at our hotel where we had gone back and had plans to return and see our son for another excursion, and we went on a tour again of Lefkosa itself. Lefkosa is just a city, part of Nicosia, which was divided between the Greeks when they shared Nicosia into two parts, where the Turkish people took one side and the Greeks took the other side. So the Greek side was under the European Union and used euros, whereas on the other side, in Lefkosia, just across the border, which was, to my surprise, just a line across the street that showed the border between the two cities. And walking across that line, you were on the other side. And there, they use liras. So, however, the lira might be a little less powerful on the euro, but they were quite capable of running their little economy there, and you could see some markets and visited some places. They were quite good markets, selling a few items, although of course we did not manage to buy any from there because we had wasted a lot of money on the European side, on the Nicosia, where we had got some gifts for our son as a surprise for him after so many years without seeing him, where he was doing his university degree in electrical engineering. So it was quite a pleasant day, and it was quite exhaustive as well. So when we got back to the hotel, we always had to sit down and relax and think about the next move. If we didn't go to Lefkosia, we just had walks along the streets in Nicosia, which was pleasant enough, but the high street was where all the activity was. We spent most of the time in the Nicosia high street, where we did a lot of shopping, and we bought a few artifacts and presents for our friends, and a few items that we cherish up to this day. So Nicosia is a pleasant place for anyone to choose to go and to see the wonders of the two divided portions of one city, and see the pleasant people from either side, and enjoy the food from both sides. Depending on which every side you are likely to encounter the best cooking in that portion of the island. So the tour of Nicosia and Lefkosia, which are the cities in Cyprus, was quite a pleasant tour for my visit to see my son. It was a pleasant visit. Apart from the other visits that I had in Canada, this was one of the best that I ever had. The most of the touring was on the Lefkosa side, of course, because our son was there and he showed us. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe.